Okay, the second type. Now we have a log, and a number. Okay, so let's do our restrictions, because sometimes we forget our restrictions and we just write the answer down and we forget. There's going to be some rejects. Okay, the restriction here. I have an argument right there with an x, so it's an easy one. Just take the opposite of plus 5. So x has got to be greater than -5. Okay, so let's keep that in the back of our mind. And now we're going to go do some solving. Okay, so we got to make this into a single log, these two logs. So we write log base 2, and then subtraction means division of these arguments. So x plus 5 all over 3 equals 2. Okay? Now, this is a little different because we can't just cross out the logs like we did in the last example. What we're going to do now is boot up. All right? Because we don't want a log, we want to get rid of the log. So we're going to take this 2, this is our ball, and boot that guy up. So that becomes, well, let's go on this side, boot up, 2 to the power of 2, right? And we still have this on this side. Okay, the x plus 5 over 3 is still here. All right. Now when we booted up that base 2 over here, the log disappears. And that's what we want. Okay, now we have 2 to the power of 2. Well, I know that is. That's just 4. So we change that to a 4. Now, because there's a fraction over here, make this into a fraction. Cross multiply. And cross multiply. Okay, and it's just a little bit of math, algebra. Move that over. So it becomes -5. And we know the answer is 7. And 7 is greater than -5, so I'm happy, check mark. All right, so I want you guys to try these 2 questions and see how you do. And you can just pause it and check my answer. All right, I'm going to do my restriction here. So this one's a little more involved, so I'm going to write it out. All right. So what I'm doing here is the restriction, right? The restriction. All right, so now make this greater than 0. Now we just do a little bit of algebra, move the 5 over. Becomes +5. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. So my restriction is x must be greater than 5 over 2, or you can say 2.5 if you want. So let's just use a decimal, 2.5. Okay, so let's keep that in the back of our mind because we have to do the solving now. Okay, let's make these into a single log. So there's a plus sign there, so I'm going to take this argument and multiply. And let's just change the color here. Let's go blue now. So we go log base 3. Take this 4, and we're going to multiply it by that argument. All right. And it equals 2. All right. Now, let's boot up. That's how we get rid of logs. So we have 4 bracket 2x minus 5. And when we boot that 3 up, that 3 kicks up the 2. Okay, that's how you get rid of log. Now let's just do some arithmetic. Rainbow in, rainbow in. So 8x minus 20 equals 9. Move the 20 over, so we have 8x equals 29. And then we divide by our 8. Divide by our 8. And x equals 29 divided by 8 is 3.625. Okay, now, is 3.625 greater than 2.5? Yes, it is. So check mark. That's good. All right, so let's go on to B now. Let's draw a line down here. Okay, the restrictions are coming from that argument and that argument. So this is pretty easy arguments because it's just a number. So we're going to go x greater than -3 and x greater than 2. And remember the greatest one rules, so this one's gone. So there's my restriction. Let's keep that in the back of my mind. All right, so let's single log this. Goes a plus sign between these two. So we are going to multiply. So we got log base 6. And we have x plus 3 times x minus 2 equals the 1. Okay, now we're just going to boot up. So over here we get 6 to the power of 1. And then we rainbow and do our double rainbow here. That times that, that times that, that times that, that times that. Okay? And what that ends up with is x squared plus x minus 6. All right. Now this 6 got to come over there, so we get x squared. Remember, it's a quadratic. Quadratic's got to equal 0. Minus 12. That positive 6 comes over and becomes minus 6. You want a 0 over here because now we're going to factor to solve. Okay. So two numbers that multiply to 12 and get me 1. Well, it's 4 and 3. And we need a positive 1 there, so the bigger number, the 4, gets the positive, and that gets the minus. And now this equals, the opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. And the opposite of that is 3. Okay, but which one is the answer now? So we look up here at our restriction. X has got to be greater than 2. So we put a X through that one. And you got to tell me it's a rejection. Okay, it's a reject. It's R-E-J. Okay, it's rejected, and there's your answer. Okay, I put this slide in because you really got to watch out, because so often, most questions, you're always sort of rejecting negative signs. But that's not always the case. And here's a case in point. Okay, when I take this argument and do its restriction, I'm going 2 minus x. It's greater than 0. Now I move this over, so I have x. Looks like that, but let's rewrite it. It's better to understand it. X with the pointy at the x and the 2. So now this reads in math numbers that are less than 2. So now you can have negative numbers. So you have to watch out. So let's do our math here. So we have a plus between our arguments. So that means we're going to multiply these two arguments. So we have log base 5 with that 2 timesing 2 minus x, and it equals the 1. Boot up. So now we have 2 to 2 minus x equals 5 to the power of 1. Okay, now rainbow in, so we get 4 minus 2x equals 5, and move that over, so subtract a 4, so it's minus 2x equals 1, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and so x equals negative 1/2. And if you look at this, it fulfills our restriction because negative 1/2 is less than 2. So I'm happy. So this has a negative answer.